Hello, Sam Spinella, your real estate guy. Many of us remember in 2008 and experienced the Great Recession, which was caused in large part by the real estate bubble. I want to give you 3 major reasons as to why now is not another bubble. Nationwide home values appreciated by about 10% in 2020. They're forecasted to appreciate by about 5% this year. This has some voicing concern that we may be in another housing bubble like the one we experienced a little over a decade ago. Here are 3 good reasons as to why this market is totally different. This time, housing supply is extremely limited. The price of any market item is determined by supply and demand. If supply is high and demand is low, prices normally decrease. If supply is low and demand is high, it's the opposite, prices naturally increase. In real estate, supply and demand are measured in months, supply of inventory. Take the months, it's the supply of inventory, which is based on the number of current homes for sale compared to the number of buyers in the market. The normal month's supply of inventory for the market is about 6 months, and that's nationwide. Here in Silicon Valley and surrounding area, our supply is on average 1.68 months. Anything above that defines a buyer's market, indicated prices will soften. Anything below that defines a seller's market, in which prices normally appreciate. Between 2006 and 2008, the month's supply of inventory increased from just over 5 months to 11 months nationwide. The month's supply was over 7 months in 27 of those 36 months. Yet home values continue to rise. Months inventory has been under 5 months for the last 3 years, under 4 for the 13 of the last 14 months, under 3 for the last 6 months, and currently stands at 1.9 months nationwide, which is historic low. Again, different in the Silicon Valley. We're tickled pink to have inventory above 1.5. Our 5-month average has just above 1 month inventory. In fact, our highest average in the Silicon Valley in the last 3 years was May 2020 at the peak of pandemic at 2.46 months. Remember, if supply is low and demand is high, prices naturally increase. This time, housing demand is real. During the housing boom in the mid-2000s, there was what Robert Shiller, a fellow at the Yale School of Management's International Center for Finance, called irrational exuberance. The definition of the term is unfounded market optimism that lacks a real foundation of fundamental valuation, but instead rests on psychological factors without considering historic market trends. People got caught up in the frenzy and bought houses based on unrealistic belief that housing values would continue to escalate. The mortgage industry fed into this craziness by making mortgage money available to just about anyone. As shown in the Mortgage Credit Available Index, the MCAI, published by the Mortgage Bankers Association, the higher the index, the easier it is to get a mortgage. The lower the index, the more difficult it is to obtain one. Prior to the housing boom, the index stood just below 400. In 2006, the index hit an all-time high at over 868. Again, just about anyone could get a mortgage. Today, the index stands at 122.5, which is well below even the pre-boom level. In the current real estate market, demand is real, not fabricated. Millennials, the largest generation in the country, have come to age to marry and have children, which are 2 major drivers for home ownership. The health crisis is also challenging every household to redefine the meaning of home and to reevaluate whether their current home meets that new definition. This desire to own, coupled with historically low mortgage rates, makes purchasing a home today a strong, sound financial decision. Therefore, today's demand is very real. Remember, if supply is low and demand is high, prices naturally increase. This is number 3. This time, households have plenty of equity. This is huge. Again, during the housing boom, it wasn't just purchasers who got caught up in the frenzy. Existing homeowners started using their homes like an ATM machine. There was a wave of cash-out refinances, which enabled homeowners to leverage the equity in their homes. From 2005 Through 2007, Americans pulled out $824 billion in equity. That left many homeowners with little or no equity in their homes at a critical time. As prices began to drop, some homeowners found themselves in a negative equity situation where the mortgage was higher than the value of their home. Many defaulted on their payments, which led to an avalanche of foreclosures. And remember, the banks were lending to anyone, up to a very high percentage of value. Today, the banks and the American people have shown they learned a valuable lesson from the housing crisis a little over a decade ago. Cash-out refinance volume over the last 3 years was less than a third of what it was compared to the 3 years leading up to the crash. This conservative approach has created levels of equity never seen before. According to Census Bureau data, over 38% of owner-occupied housing units are owned free and clear, without any mortgage. Also, ATTOM data Solutions just released their fourth quarter 2020 U.S. home equity report, which revealed 17.8 million residential properties in the United States were considered equity rich, meaning that the combined estimated amount of loans secured by those properties was 50% or less of their estimated market value. The count of equity-rich properties in the fourth quarter of 2020 represented 30.2%, or about 1 in 3 of the 59 million mortgaged homes in the United States. If we combine the 38% of the homes that are owned free and clear and the 18.7% of all homes that have at least 50% equity, we realize that 56.7% of all homes in this country have a minimum of 50% equity. That's significantly better than the equity situation in 2008. Bottom line, this time housing supply is at a historic low. Demand is real and rightly motivated. Even if there were to be a drop in prices, homeowners have enough equity to be able to weather a dip in home values. This is nothing like 2008. In fact, it's the exact opposite. If you have any questions at all or have any real estate needs, please feel free to reach out to me directly. My team and I are here and happy to help.